flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, I didn't tell you.
What'd you do?
I don't think I did it. All right, please let the record show that prior to tonight's meeting, there was an executive session held for personnel matters related to specific staff. And we get a roll call. Pretty excited about this tonight.
Mrs. Bennett? Mrs. Eckerd?
Here.
Mr. Franco?
Here.
Mrs. Goebel?
Here.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Here.
Dr. Pravola?
Here.
Mr. Burke?
Here.
Mr. Farr?
Here.
Mrs. Arnold?
Here. And I want to give a very warm welcome back to Director Bennett. She's had a lot going on this year, and we're really happy to see her tonight. All right. Do we have any remarks from the superintendent?
Absolutely. You stole my thunder. I wanted to officially welcome back Director Bennett. It's, Lori, to say you've been missed is an understatement. We are thrilled to have you back on stage with us, and we look forward to you being with us for many, many years, still on stage. It's just not the same without you. Welcome back. Good evening, board. Good evening, Tiger community. My comments tonight are going to be very brief. This Friday, tomorrow night, is a huge night for our high school seniors. It's prom day. It's prom. I can't wait to see. I'm going to go and watch them come in at the prom. I can't wait to see them all decked out. On Saturday evening, the 8th grade dance is being held at Triton, starting at 6:30, so it's certainly a big weekend for some of our students at the high school. Last week, I got the chance to visit Boston to support our 8th and 9th grade jazz band. They performed in the middle of Boston Common, which is America's oldest park. In fact, it was founded in 1634. Their performance, as you can imagine, like all of our music, all of our bands, all of our music programs, it was spectacular. It attracted a large crowd right in the middle of downtown Boston. It was a great event, great opportunity for our students. Hats off to music teacher Kevin Kreinberg. Our students were so well prepared. It was outstanding. On Monday morning, Wyoming County District Attorney Joe Peters, along with some FBI agents and an assistant U.S. attorney, will lead an anti-gang education presentation here at our high school in the auditorium. It's for students in grades 8, 9, and 10. High school administration has already shared information with those specific parents about the event, and parents have been provided with forms should they choose to opt their child out of seeing the event. Mr. Winsek will again remind parents about the presentation before Monday. Last month, I presented a budget for next school year. In just the past few weeks, my team and I have made progress in reducing the projected deficit, and we will remain very diligent in the budgeting process. We'll continue to seek ways to reduce spending without significantly impacting student programming. And earlier today, I received notification I received notification from the state that we will be able to continue reducing local property taxes as a result of the distribution of state gaming funds. Our district's property tax reduction allocation for next year, 24-25, is just over $1.7 million, and that's about $300,000 more than last year. Our upcoming spring musical, and I can't wait for this, the teen edition of Chicago, will be presented at the Intermediate Center on May 10th, 11th, and 12th. I cannot wait to see this show. I'll be there on May 11th, if anyone wants to join me. Our students have been practicing for months. Please help me spread the word about Chicago. We want as many people there as possible. Finally, I want to share my appreciation for the work of our faculty and staff. You know, what they do each day is incredible. They always make sure that our students have a positive experience in our schools, and that's a credit to them. I brag all of the time to other superintendents about the quality and professionalism of our faculty and staff. I'm so very proud and privileged to work alongside what I consider to be the best faculty and staff in our region. And I'd like to thank our entire staff for their dedication to our students. Thank you very much, President Arnold.
Thank you. Okay, item number 4, public comments on agenda items only. Is there anybody who'd like to give comment on agenda items? Okay, seeing none. Item 5, the approval of minutes.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Yes.
Dr. Pavola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item number 6, superintendent's report.
I'd like to recommend a resolution be adopted approving the personnel report as presented.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Yes.
Dr. Pavola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Abstain.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes.
Number 2, I'd like to recommend a resolution be adopted approving the following conference for Rich Seaberg, his Act 235 training. That's a requirement.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Yes.
Dr. Pavola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. All right, committee reports. I don't believe we've had any committee meetings since the last board meeting. Do we need to schedule any? Okay. Moving along to unfinished business. Item number 1, motion to approve the second reading of the board policy listed, which is the policy number 610, purchases subject to bid and quotation. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve? Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Yes.
Dr. Pavola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. All right, under new business, item 1, motion to approve a GSL government consulting to support the district in obtaining grants.
Motion to approve? Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Yes.
Dr. Pavola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item 2, motion to approve a resolution as presented requesting a public school facility improvement grant of $5 million from the Commonwealth Financing Authority to be used for primary center HVAC.
Motion to approve? Second.
We have a motion and a second. Dr. Suppan or Mr. Doherty, would you like to just give a quick why we're doing that?
Absolutely. We're taking a swing. That's the best way I could put it. So being it's baseball and softball season, we're taking a swing. The state opened up facilities grants, and it can't be for any projects that are typically that are already scheduled. And if you recall, we did a feasibility study at the primary center about a year ago, and we found that a complete renovation would probably be in the neighborhood of $9 million. This does not commit us to do anything. Only we are taking a shot at getting $5 million because I'd rather come back to the board and say, hey, we have this opportunity to do an upgrade at our primary center, and $5 million of it is grant funded. So we are not committing to absolutely anything. All we're committing to tonight is submitting this grant application and seeing what happens.
Right.
So
I just, yeah.
this grant could be up to $5 million, but we'll know how much we're going to get, and obviously we don't want the taxpayers to have any cost.
That's
Or
correct.
If we're going to do any kind of project, it will be funded by the grant.
That's correct.
Okay.
Right, so, just to clarify, the headline is not that we just approved spending another $5 million
No,
of
not
taxpayer
at all.
funds.
No,
We're putting in for a grant that just became available. You can
Yes.
only apply for money on projects that aren't already in the works.
Correct.
So we had to like look at what was on our tier 2 projects that haven't
Right.
already been approved and funded, and this is where we landed.
Right,
So,
You're right, and you could ask for up to $5 million, so we're throwing it out there and asking for $5 million. Maybe we get 5 million, maybe we get nothing. It's, but no harm in, and like I said, taking a swing.
Excellent. All right, we had a motion, we had a second, we had some discussion. Any other questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Dr. Pavola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett? Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item number 3, a motion to approve a reimbursement resolution be adopted. The information is on pages 26 and 28, but the Reader's Digest version is that this is a motion to allow us to reimburse ourselves if we have to put money out from other places prior to a bond issue, correct?
Correct, yeah.
right.
I mean,
That's
it
exactly
just
it.
allows us to reimburse ourselves if we pay early before we get.
Yeah, again, this does not commit us to any borrowing amount, nothing.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Do we have a second?
Second?
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Yes.
Dr. Pavola?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. All right. Motion to approve the science curriculum for grades 3 through 8.
Motion to approve? Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? This information was presented to the curriculum committee at the curriculum committee meeting prior to the meeting that we had on the 18th. So that information's out there if anybody's interested in seeing it. Is there any other discussion?
No, just a reminder from that meeting that the curriculum where, that's on to be approved here is compliant with the new state guidelines for science, so.
Right. Yeah, we
Yes.
didn't just
There
wake
are
up and
new
decide
state
to change
guidelines
the
for
curriculum.
science
It was
and
something that
this
came
meets
back.
those guidelines.
Yes.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bennett? Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Yes.
Dr. Pavola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. All right. Item 5, motion to approve an agreement with Linkit Assessment and Data Dashboard for $24,563 for the 24-25 school year.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Yes. To clarify, this is not any kind of survey platform or anything like that. This is just
No.
where, this is just the program that we're using to store data we already own and have.
Yes.
Right.
It keeps all of our data in one location for comparing and contrasting. It's simply data warehousing.
Yes. But it's not sharing it with the black hole or Big Brother or anybody else.
No.
And the data is like, you mean test data, that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Just
Yes.
so it's clear what data it is? Okay.
Yes. That's
It's not
exactly
like
what it
social
is.
security numbers
No.
or
Right, or-
gender preferences or anything like that?
No.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Yes.
Dr. Pavola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item 6, motion to approve a budget transfer as listed from the high school.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Yes.
Dr. Pavola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco? Or, Mr. Farr? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item 7, motion to approve a CoStar's purchase of fitness equipment to upgrade the district's weight room equipment for the benefit of all students. 73% of the $96,791 project is funded from donations via the Tiger Fund. Remaining balance will be district funded.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Got a motion, a second, a third. Any other discussion? Thank you very much to the donors that were involved with this project. Can we get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Yes.
Dr. Pavola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item 8, motion to approve the bus and van contracts as presented.
Mo-
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Yes.
Dr. Pavola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Item number 9, motion to approve a service agreement with Youth Advocate Programs, Inc. for the 24-25 academic school year.
Motion to approve?
Second?
We have a motion and we have a second. To be clear, this is a program that we've had ongoing. These are social workers that are brought in as needed because the school district is not a social working company. So,
They're the social workers that we use, yes.
Yes.
This has been in place for many, many years.
right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the controversy hasn't. So I'm just, trying to get ahead
You're-
of whatever. would
You're
be-
correct.
Yeah.
You're correct.
So we use them as needed then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Pavola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Number 10, motion to approve an out-of-state overnight field trip as listed, the FBLA National Leadership Conference from June 27th to July 3rd in Orlando, Florida.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion?
Who's going, I just wondered who's going?
I
Two.
believe,
Are we
yeah.
on this, who?
We have
There's
two
two people.
students that qualified.
They don't name.
Oh, that's exciting, good for them.
Yeah, we have two students that qualified. Their parents are going with them. Their two moms are going, and one of them happens to be a school district employee, so it works out, absolutely perfectly for us.
Oh, what kids were there, what students were they on here? I don't know if the we don't know the student, okay, gotcha. I just wondered what students got that far,
Oh,
that's
the
great.
student's name. Oh, I'm sorry. Off the top. I don't know off the top of my head.
No, that's-
My
Well,
apologies.
Congratulations to those two students, even though Florida in the summer is hot.
I'll bring it at the May 23rd meeting, I will have it.
I just thought, yeah, just so we can recognize it's a big deal, right?
Okay.
That's all. Sorry.
So I know that there's only one Chilson kiddo left, yeah, who hasn't graduated yet, so it must be him, and,
The girl's name is Sophie, because the mother's name, that's wrong.
Sophia Sobek?
Sophie is the,
Sobek? Sophia
oh,
Sobek?
so we have to edit the field trip form?
yeah, that's wrong, because the mother's name is Betsy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go, there you have it. Congratulations to both of them.
Yes, that's great. Good for them.
All right, we had a motion, we had a second, we need to vote it, right?
Roll
All right.
call.
Roll call, let's have that too.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Franco?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Yes.
Dr. Pavola?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. All right, do we have any other public comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Well, hold on, do we have any board comments? Any board comments?
He's late and then
All right, we had a motion to adjourn. Second, thank you everybody for joining.